It is so rainy, so cold today. So I got this on. Kind of looks like a bathrobe on camera. It's actually a cardigan. It's a cozy cardigan. So that's why I'm wearing it like a housewife, because it's freezing. So if you've watched any of the videos on my channel, you know that one of the things that I like to talk about is this idea of just being yourself, finding ways to express yourself more genuinely, more openly. You can find some videos where I talk about that. Going back to, God, what's it even called? Make the Weird Thing. That's one of them. And then also there's one about being cringe. Did that one too. Basically, the TLDR of them being like, don't be afraid to be yourself. Make the thing that you want to make. Make the thing that you're scared somebody is going to make fun of you for making, because you are a whole person and you come with your own unique ideas and your own unique perspectives and your own personality, and that's worth expressing. And I think one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about it, that I think about it so much, is because it seems like more and more in America, at least, we've lost that sense of identity, that sense of self, the sense of wonder that comes along with figuring out and embracing the unique parts of you. You know, I see this content, I see videos, pieces of writing, whatever, where people are talking about this idea of like the death of hobbies. The idea there being like, it's not that people don't have hobbies. It's not that people aren't writing or drawing or dancing or, whatever. It's just that our culture has effectively kind of twisted it up in a way where it's like, so many of us don't genuinely enjoy our hobbies anymore. The things that we used to do for leisure and free time and relaxation are things that now have been twisted to become something that we need to become popular for, that we need to gain followers for, that we need to monetize and gain money for. And honestly, that sucks because hundreds of years, thousands of years, people have routinely just enjoyed simple things in private. I have a buddy who told me at one point why he doesn't have social media. He hasn't had social media in like a decade and hasn't even thought about starting it back up again, which nowadays is kind of odd. And whenever I was asking him about it, he said, there's so much in my life that has to be split with other people, other entities, whatever. My work time, my daytime, whatever, is being split between clients and coworkers. My evenings, whatever, are spent between family and friends. He's like, sometimes I just want to take a picture and it be for me. I want to have thoughts and feelings and ideas and ways of expression that are just all me. He's like, and so I'm split so many different areas. He's like, why would I want to further separate off a piece of myself and throw it out into the world? And I think it's a really, really healthy perspective in a lot of ways. We do so many things nowadays for the attention of others, for some sort of ulterior motive. And I count myself included, because I'm here on YouTube, I'm sharing videos, I'm not just speaking this into a camera and nobody's listening. Part of that being because I want to share something with somebody. It's not necessarily a journal, but that is kind of the way of things. Like, we write something, it goes on X or whatever. You have a picture that you want to share, it goes on Instagram or Facebook if you're my age or older, I guess. If you have a video, you share it on TikTok. If you have like a new dance or something funny that you want to do, you're making a reel about it in the hopes that it goes viral, or at the very least in the hopes that it makes other people laugh. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that idea, wanting to share something with somebody else or wanting gratification for something. If you draw, why shouldn't you want other people to appreciate that? Why shouldn't you want to reach somebody who you feel might resonate with it and benefit from it? There's nothing inherently wrong with it. But the society that we live in nowadays has, I think, taken advantage of that part of ourselves. And so all of these skills and all of these pieces of knowledge have become currencies to trade on the internet for attention and for engagement. And in a way, it prevents so many of us from actually engaging in the things that make us us. We spend hours and hours a day sucking in content that isn't necessarily enriching our lives. And maybe it's making us laugh, maybe it's allowing us to share a moment with somebody else, but in a lot of ways it's slowly eroding a sense of being and self and personhood that we used to have so much more of 10, 15 years ago. And it sounds a little old man yells at cloud, honestly, but it's something that I feel more and more as I get older. And I have less time to myself, and I have less time to pour into the things that I really care about. I have to be precious with my own moments and my own attention and the things that I engage with. And so more and more things that just waste my time, that are designed to waste my time. Not just things that like, that's a waste of time, says this 90-year-old man. But genuinely, things that are designed, like thinking about Sora most recently. Sora, the AI app where it's just a TikTok style app of AI slop. It's not benefiting anybody. It's not created and cultivated to be funny. It's just literal sheer visual noise that is flying past your eyeballs over and over. And it's like stuff like that. It's a waste of time. I'm sorry if you enjoy it, but that's how I feel about it. But it is a thing that, I feel like as we proceed further into the future, it's something that we have to become more conscious of. It's something that we have to become more precious of. Because 100 years ago, they didn't have to think about all of these things that were vying for their attention. You could go off and you could live on you could live in a suburban neighborhood surrounded by people and still live in relative isolation, maybe, I guess, depending on where you lived. But it was like you didn't have the internet, you didn't have phones, or you didn't have smartphones that were connected to the internet and to other people at all times. You were able to disconnect, you were able to take a step back. And I realize to some extent I'm kind of losing the thread here. I'm kind of railing off against technology in general, which isn't necessarily the point. What I'm trying to talk about though is just how important it is for you as a person, but you as a creative, you as somebody who is trying to put something out into the world. Not necessarily be famous or be rich by it, but just make something that is inherently you. Why it is so important for us to tune more in on ourselves, to figure out who we are and what we like and lean into that more. It's why I've made some of these videos in the past, because it is important. It's something that we are losing, and it is something that I feel like doesn't get talked about enough. When I was younger, in high school, middle school, whenever, what I wanted more than anything was to be like everybody else. Wanted to lose weight so I could blend in with everybody else, get the same clothes, speak the same, watch the same movies, whatever. Because when you're in that period of life, standing out is a sin. It's a crime. You can't do it. That's the worst thing imaginable. And I feel like in so many ways that's who we're supposed to be today. Not even from like a, big bad tech CEOs are trying to get us. But nowadays, one of the things that I want more than anything is to stand out. Not stand out in the way that it's like everybody looks at me and I'm the center of attention and whatever, but for me to be more myself, to do things that are inherently me, to do things that maybe somebody else couldn't do. Not because I'm so much better and so much more talented, but just because I have life experiences and thought patterns and whatever that create this one unique thing. Because the older that I get, the more value I see in just being yourself. There's so much that you have to offer. And there's so much that you have to say and do and share with the world. And when you lose yourself to the grind, to the hustle, when you're monetizing everything and sharing everything and putting everything out into the world with some A to B ulterior motive, you lose some of that. Maybe you're expressing a portion of yourself authentically, but you're not expressing your whole self. You're doing something to fit into the grind, to be a part of the way that, the world is working today. And again, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but I think it is one of those things where it's like, you have to examine like why you do something. Are you reading books because you enjoy reading books or because you're trying to beat your Goodreads goal for the year? For me, playing, like, I have a podcast. We talk about video games and stuff. Like, I play a lot of games. I have to examine it and think like, hey, am I playing these video games because I want to be playing them, or just because like I'm trying to check off a list and talk about it on this show that a few people listen to? And when I create content on here, when I'm talking to you, I have to think like, am I sharing it because I'm hoping that it's going to go viral, that it's going to be something that has all the right buzzwords and keywords and whatever, or am I doing it because it's actually creating value, or at least that I'm hoping that it creates value? And when you come at the things that you enjoy with that lens, you don't stop doing them, but you just understand better why you're doing them in the first place. I think it helps to create a much more enriching experience overall. I feel like there was a bigger point at the start of this video that I went off track on a little bit to kind of talk about social media and technology and being old, but hopefully it helps. Hopefully it's something that resonates with you. I don't know. I think about it a lot, so I talk about it a lot, and I share it a lot, obviously, apparently. So, yeah. Be yourself. Do the things that you love. Know why you do the things that you love. Maybe do less of the things that you don't love, or try to do more of the things that you do love, but in a way that makes you love them more. Maybe that makes sense. I don't know. But yeah, bye-bye.